Hello YouTube. So like I told you guys, I'm going to give you a little precursor here before I make a video of me actually doing more work on this thing, mostly because I work a 9 to 5 and I struggle to get to the steel yard in time. But this is my hope to be car hauler. So it started its life as a 28-foot camper. It has dual 3,500 pound Dexter axles on it with electric brakes. That being said, I have no idea how well the brakes actually work. So when I got it, it was still completely decked for the most part. Had a floor, had the crapper tank on it, had a clean water tank, and probably about 6 inches of the sides still all the way around it. So it was crinkled on the driver's side of the frame rail back there. Probably a good 2 foot of it was trashed. I might even actually still have the piece laying around here somewhere to show you guys. So what I ended up doing was cutting a section out of it straight until I was cleaned back to some good material here. And then I welded in this cross member and dovetailed the back of it. So it's a 18-foot flat deck at this point with a 2-foot dovetail. It's about 93 inches wide from the end of the outriggers to the end of the outriggers. And the Jeep currently sits at about 84 inches wide. So it should leave me plenty of room. The Jeep's 14 foot from nose to tip. So it's going to have a couple extra feet for either someday maybe a pop-up tent or a couple quads, dirt bikes, whatever I decide to haul on it. It is going to be a multi-purpose trailer. But that being said, with only having two 3,500 pound axles, it's a little undersized as is. The Jeep's going to weigh in at about 4,200 pounds probably. The trailer decked is probably going to be 1,200 pounds, so that's going to put me at pretty close to carrying capacity for this trailer. It's going to not be a super heavy duty trailer, but it'll be a good dedicated hauler, as well as a multi-purpose trailer just for moving brush and other goods, and be nice to pick up pieces of steel, especially 4x8 sheets, things like that. It's going to be helpful in a lot of aspects of life here. So I strengthened up the frame after I stripped everything off of it with some pieces of 5x2 1/4-inch thick C-channel that I added periodically throughout the length of the trailer here to kind of stiffen it up. If you didn't know already, not RVs, but campers, the trailers aren't really made to support a whole lot of the weight. A lot of the structure itself also strengthens the frame, so they're typically made pretty flimsy. Since I wanted this to hold up to some abuse, I decided to strengthen everything up. And I mean, it's going to be a car hauler. It's going to see some abuse, especially hauling Jeeps and getting dragged back into fields and things like that. It originally did have outriggers. It was still 93 inches wide, but they were about the same thickness as this step here, which is, being liberal, not even 1/8 of an inch. Probably like 12, 14 gauge steel. So I welded on more of the 5x2 1/4-inch channel, which was a nice opportunity to, they don't look too pretty, but it was my first shot of using my dad's new Lotus plasma cutter. Probably the first time I've ever got to really have some time on a plasma cutter. Worked out pretty well. It was a lot better than slicing them up with my angle grinder. So it was a nice benefit to have that there, and it seemed to do pretty well for being just a cheap plasma cutter. All right, YouTube, I've got my trusty, dusty 18-volt Ryobi drill battery here. We're gonna see what this thing can do, if it does anything. You're testing this with me for the first time ever, because I have no clue if this thing does anything, honestly. Let me bend that wire up over there. I'm sorry, guys. Whoa, it made noise. The motor actually turns. Let's see. It didn't do anything to the jack. Maybe I just didn't give it long enough. Kind of sounds like something ate up in there. Nothing. Maybe I got to reverse the polarity and maybe it's jacked up all the way and that's the only way I'm going to reverse it. It's going to eat my... no, it did nothing. Huh. That thing is kind of buried in there. I might tear into this and see what's going on, but I'm kind of glad to know that the motor works at least. That means... Alright, YouTube, we're going to pop this open, see what I can see if any gears are blatantly stripped out, see what kind of condition this thing is. The fact that it's missing 2 screws from the start, and that I don't believe those were actually connected to the original trailer plug, or anything for that matter. I guess they wouldn't be connected to the trailer plug, but they weren't connected to anything. Leads me to believe that this probably has not worked for a long time. But me being the cheap self that I am, I'm going to see what I can do to fix it. Oh, God. Alright. Oh, goodness. There is actually grease in there. Just suspended in the water. The gears actually look in relatively decent shape. See if I can pull that off. Yeah, cool. The teeth still exist. Huh, there might be hope for this thing. So while it is sunnier and mildly warmer than it was yesterday, it is still a beautiful 30-degree mid-April day in Ohio. So since it appears that there's set screws here, and one on the other side, I'm going to try to pull this off in the... Alright, YouTube, while I am cheap, I'm actually very, very cheap. I like to be as cheap as I possibly can be. I'm not that dumb. The set screws are stripped out. I personally, I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't value my time ridiculously, but I do actually value my time. I'm just going to pull the bolts and replace it with the hydraulic jack. Or crank jack or something along those lines. It's not worth my time. I can buy a trailer jack for not a whole lot of money and save myself a lot of headache and maybe even use that for a different project. So just to recap, this is the car hauler. It'll be decked and finished here in the next couple of weeks and probably get its first test haul with the Cherokee. So if you're interested in more of this, you want to see some welding projects on it, you want to see some decking projects on it, you just want to see a car hauler built out of a camper, then like, comment, and subscribe.